The Most Beautiful Home in Hollywood. Photoplay, March 1924. Antonio Moreno was considered the confirmed bachelor of the screen, and then he met Daisy Canfield Danziger, society leader and philanthropist, and fell in love. The result? One of Hollywood's happiest marriages and its most beautiful home. Pale green walls and ceiling, pale gray marble fireplace, and chairs upholstered in hand-carved leather. The rug and draperies, vividly Chinese in character, give warmth and cheer to this dining room. Tapestried furniture, golden-hued velvet hangings, and oriental rugs. They create the foreground of what has been called California's loveliest drawing room. The walls are tinted in a soft gray ivory, and the lofty ceilings are of dark wood that is polished and inlaid. The Morenos live on a hilltop from which they can see the Pacific Ocean and Catalina Island, the first range of the Sierras, beautiful Silver Lake, and all of Hollywood and Los Angeles. The glorious freedom and space of an eagle's nest, with all the comforts of home. The photograph on the right shows the inner court with its swimming pool of pale green and white tile. The house itself is of stucco, with a red tile roof. Mrs. Moreno's boudoir. The colors are rainbow-like, but perfectly blended, turquoise blue, golden tan, and orchid predominating. The furniture is early French, except for the lovely modern table with its personal photographs in the center of the room. Tony's bedroom is Spanish in color and type. Curtains and velvet spread are of gold and scarlet. The carved furniture is gaily upholstered in tapestry, and the bed itself is an early century importation from the land of olives and mantillas. Clarksville or Williamsburg. Photoplay, January 1920. Probably it's neither, or both. Mr. and Mrs. H. Palmerston Williams seem to be equal partners in their marriage concern, and while she is by no means merely an officer's wife, his activities prove that he is considerably more than merely an actress's husband. Miss Clark was quite averse to working on the West Coast, but the possibilities of a real home in the wide spaces of yard and room which California affords seems to have completely overcome that feeling. Her whole photoplay reputation was based on pictures made in and around New York City. This is the first photograph the Williamses have had taken since he dropped Lieutenant and Whipcord to resume civvies in Mr. Also, this is the very first series of pictures of their lovely home. To those who do not know Los Angeles, let us say that the Williamses' choice of a home on Wilshire Boulevard rather than on Sunset or Hollywood or any of their adjacent streets speaks volumes for their love of quiet and high-class conservatism. Wilshire is the aristocratic way of social Los Angeles, a westering thoroughfare of wealth and fashion. The other streets are the brilliant avenues of filmdom itself, and are much more professional. Marguerite Clark, a doll figure, veritably, in the drawing room of her splendid house. At the side of the house is a garden of multicolored flowers. It reminds you of a millionaire's conservatory in the cold countries during midwinter, except that instead of possessing glass for a roof, it has the blue sky, and its warm winds are not the exhilarations of steam pipes and artificial humidors, but the breezes of the Pacific, warmed in the radiance of semi-tropic sunshine. The house itself is white, and at a distance it looks like a white jewel in an emerald setting. You may behold Marguerite Williams and a lot of other flowers. At the right of this floral observation, an apartment which might be described by almost any genius at naming things as the music room. More comfy than Japan. After a vacation in Nippon, declares Ethel Clayton, one's very own American home is indeed restful. Photoplay, April 1920. Ethel Clayton, upon her return from a trip to Japan on a long vacation following her period of mourning for her late husband, Joseph Kaufman, settled down in a duck of a bungalow in Hollywood. It is in a secluded spot, this Clayton home, nestled in a small hill with plentiful shrubs. Here Ethel and her mother spend their hours outside the studio. A woman of thoughtful turn of mind, the star finds her library more engrossing than almost any other recreation. She spends much time out of doors, in a lovely garden that is one of her showrooms about the place. Miss Clayton with her brother, a frequent visitor. A grand piano, plenty of books, flowers. These are the soothing friends of Joseph Kaufman's widow. Are you furnishing a home? Fay Ray gives the young bride a few simple lessons. Photoplay, March 1929. Here was a dull corner in a small den just off the living room that was brightened when Fay Ray redecorated the house. The window seat is painted a restful green, and the cushion and drapes are of henna-printed linen. Fay Ray's dining room table is made attractive at all times by 2 pewter candlesticks and a pewter bowl that is kept filled with yellow flowers. The long, graceful candles are also yellow. A book niche is much more interesting if small objets d'art are interspersed with the books. This is a corner of Fay Ray's morning room. The chair is upholstered in yellow, with deeper yellow flowers to match the walls. These gates lead to Fay Ray's breakfast nook, and give it an exclusive, secluded air. In the pantry, which is painted a cream ivory, is the serving table, with a pewter breakfast service conveniently at hand. The heart of the living room, the hospitable fireplace with a raised hearth and wing chair nearby. There is a useful poker with a long handle, fire tongs, a hearth brush, and an antique corn popper. Conway Tyrell's home. Photoplay, August 1924. Conway Tyrell and his wife, who is well known to theatergoers as Adele Rowland, in a setting of well-clipped hedges and lawns, delightfully suggestive of cool, rich verdure. The living room of their home is distinctive in that the goldfish are not obliged to confine their activities to swimming around a bowl, but are furnished a large marble pond with seaweed and castles. And since the Tyrell marriage is famously successful, there is no significance in the fact that they built the goldfish right into the house to have them handy. Another conjunction of stars in the west. Photoplay, March 1920. Annette Stewart rests afar from the movies, high up in her new mountaintop dwelling place. Annette Stewart chose a mountaintop for her home in California. An old-world home, up and away from everybody. Not because La Stewart is particularly exclusive, but she likes to breathe in air and absorb an atmosphere which have nothing to do with motion pictures after her day's work at the studio is done. She lives here with her husband, who is also her manager, Rudolph Cameron, her mother and her young brother George. You may see her at the above left with her mother and the police dog who guards her gate. Above, a siesta on her own front porch, and below, a long shot of her home, which is in Laughlin Park, Los Feliz Road.